Hey, all Phantom DC here. No, I'm not doing a reaction. This time we're doing a live stream. Last time I did a live stream was like 9 months ago to ironically American Horror Story. So here we are back again doing another discussion on the show. And I'm not alone here. I'm with two other amazing people. So why don't they just introduce themselves? Starting with ladies first, AK.
What's good, YouTubes? AK in the house here to talk about some horror stories and the stupidity of people in the woods. Let's get to it.
Oh yes, there's a whole bunch of stupidity here, but hey, it's a horror series. And especially with this series, they're pretty much paying a whole bunch of freaking 80s horror. So why not? Welcome stupidity. And also, Andrew, introduce yourself, man.
G'day, YouTubers. It's the Fat Dingo here, or Andrew, whatever you want to call me. I'm happy with either or. But yeah, very excited to be here today. I am a big AHS fan, and thus far this season has been good, and I'm looking forward to discussing it with two of my good online buddies here.
Awesome, awesome. And also, thank you for those who are stopping by during the live stream. Hebe, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Peter Griffin, Johnny Be Crazy to stop in just to say hi, catch up, man. Moni G, and those who are coming in the future. I see you, AK, but you're in here. But before we start here, let's quickly say what's some of your favorite 80s horror movies? For me, it's The Thing, Child's Play. All-time favorite for me, it's like Nightmare on Elm Street. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think my ultimate favorite probably would be Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't know why, but if you listen to just some of the random shit Freddy says, he's quite comical. I know you probably aren't supposed to be laughing at those movies, but he's got some jokes for you, and I appreciate the jokes that are in him. The original Nightmare on Elm Street, not that nonsense they did in 2010. No, they can keep.
We don't speak of that. We don't speak of that. But
Yeah,
I do agree with you.
that remake that shall not be named. I also did like Friday the 13th and Michael Myers series. Halloween 3, I think, confused me, but we know that's not really part of the series. It just has the name. The Chucky movies were always good because Chucky's kind of funny too. I know he's a ruthless killer, but he also brought some comedy to his killing, so I appreciated that. Children of the Corn, the original, like the first two or so. All of them are creepy, but it's those first two I think were pretty dynamic.
Like that
That's about it.
film made me say to myself, stay away from these damn kids. You never
Fucking
know. So
kids,
they're
man.
gonna do something at one point and be like, hold up, what you doing here?
It doesn't even matter, no matter what age. If it's kids in cornfields or kids in these damn camp situations like we have with AHS in 1984 right now, keep away from them. They're all going to get you killed.
What about you, Andrew?
Yeah, well, look, the slasher genre was one of my favorite in the horror realm, and that's why I was really excited for this season, 1984, because of the fact that we were getting a slasher series. And my number one slasher definitely has to be, of course, Jason Voorhees as in the Friday the 13th franchise. It's got a cheesy factor to it, but doesn't most 80s horror films, I mean, even Freddy Krueger, cheesiness to it. I think probably the most serious one would have to be the Halloween series. Out of the lot, there's not real comical aspect, but look, I just love this whole concept of going to a camp, and every year a new bunch of teenagers turn up because they're not scared and don't believe in the boogeyman, and the boogeyman just happens to turn back up. But yeah, so definitely sticking with the Friday the 13th franchise, which is clearly the main horror movie that this 1984 franchise has been set up around. So yeah.
And also before we continue, Peter just pointed out something to me that I missed in the chat. I'll compliment you, sir, on your awesome Westerosi Ninja shirt that you're rocking. Milt would be proud.
So true, so true. If you want to tune in for some like random trivia or so, check out the Westerosi Ninja. He always does like I believe he does like 2 guests or so. I remember you were there one
Yeah,
weekend, Joe. You faced Felicia, and I believe you defeated her and so and so.
I defeated Dog Sidious, and then went up against Felicia and had
Okay.
a absolutely appalling second match after having a pretty good first match. So I was kicking myself in the teeth. But you can catch that style of trivia on Milt's channel on Tuesday nights for TNT. And then obviously Jeopardy tiles and Pickup 52 on the Citadel of Trivia channel. Yeah.
indeed. Yeah, go definitely check out Milt for awesome trivia, but also just to listen to that awesome ass theme song he has. I don't know if y'all know what I know, but that shit is fire.
True.
Ninjas.
Yes. I actually downloaded that the other day, man. I really like that song.
No. But anywho, let's start with this damn stream about American Horror Story. Like 7 minutes in, people are like, when in the hell they're going to start talking about this damn show? So, quick recap. The show begins in 1970 with the whole Mr. Jingles incident of where he kills not 10, but 9 individuals within a cabin. Then it goes to 1984 where we like meet like the whole crew where it was like Brooke, Montana, Ray, Check, and Xavier. And we come upon like Brooke is attacked by the Night Stalker, which is like a character. I just learned that he was like in a previous season of American Horror Story.
He
or
was in a
so.
hotel. If you look
Okay.
at the Halloween night serial killer roundtable dinner, he was one of the ghosts attending that.
I still have not seen American Horror Story Hotel.
Get
I need to
your
see
life
it.
together, young
I
man.
know it's just too much. I blame Discord. They have me read so much stuff and watch so much anime. It destroys all my free time. But yeah, so Brooke decides to go work at the summer as a camp counselor at Camp Redwood, the same place that Mr. Jingles like did like the horrifying murders with her new friends from a dance aerobics class. On the way there, they strike a hiker on the road. The group takes him to the camp where he is tended to by camp nurse Rita, who later, informs them about the whole Mr. Jingles incident. And we learn that the owner of the camp, Miss Margaret, is actually like one of the sole survivors of that incident and is like hoping that this will be like she does like a whole like religious thing where it's like she hopes she can like save some souls and whatnot when she's like opening like this new camp. But then later on, we see that the Night Stalker shows up. Mr. Jingles escapes like from an asylum and is like heading towards the camp. And that's pretty much it for like the first episode.
Yeah, it's pretty much a rundown of all of everyone that's going to be on set, so to speak. Pretty much all of the heavy hitters are in this first introduction episode. And I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but for me, Montana was like automatically zoned in to Brooke from like the very beginning. To that
I just thought she was like friendly.
Nah.
Until like the second or third episode. Well, not the third before that, but it was like the second where she kissed her.
Yeah.
And I was like, hold up.
Nah, it seemed like there was something off, like what from the get-go when they were talking in the shower. Like she made it a point to say, I'm not lesbian, I'm just extra friendly, and people think I'm aggressively friendly and blah, 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 but that's LA, that's how you're supposed to do things. No, I'm sorry. You totally targeted that girl, and it was made very apparent from the beginning. For me, anyways. Let's see, once we actually got all the team together, it didn't make sense to me that Ray was so gung-ho about leaving until later. And I won't say the reasons why, because that's not in this episode. I'll wait till we get there. But everyone's behavior about the whole thing in this first episode, it completely makes sense once you see like the second and third episode and you see their backstories. So this basically sets the stage. And even though I classify her as a villain for this season, Angelica Ross from Pose is freaking awesome this season. I don't like her, but she's killing the role.
True. When it came to like was it? Are they like teenagers or young adults? No, young adults. Yeah. Like I think besides like Brooks made sense of why she went. Yeah. Like Brooke made sense of like why she was going with the whole Night Stalker thing. Montana, I guess she was just being like friendly or whatever. Like, oh, let me just go along with like Xavier, you know, because he was the one who was like, signed
they're
up for it originally
and whatnot. So yeah, he signed up for it, or maybe there was some type of hiring process. But that's something else I question also. How did Margaret choose to hire these people?
Like it seems like it was desperate because with the whole like Mr. Jingles thing at this camp, and people are like, "Wait a minute, should we go?"
Right, but there's one huge question there, and I can't say exactly what it is now because we don't get to it until like the third or fourth episode. But with the hiring process, particularly for the medical staff, that's what I'm questioning. How was that done? What was there no face-to-face contact? Because it's just a whole very sketchy situation, or maybe Margaret just wanted to get people there, period. So I don't know. Just keep that in your mind as we progress through the episodes. Andy, you're being too quiet. What did you think of this first episode?
Look, I really enjoyed it for an opening episode. There was a few things that came to mind. Firstly, we kick off obviously with the main crew all doing aerobics. Now, one thing that I want to kind of question is this is the first season that in the opening sequence we get characters' names pop up on the screen. So it tells us who the characters are before we get into it. So it leaves me from the very first episode thinking, is this a movie within a TV series? Like, you know, how we saw last season with Joan Collins when she was playing Bubbles and acting inside the movies and so forth. And yeah, so that was kind of a thought that came from the opening scene. Like you, Alicia, I did think that Montana just zoned in straight away in on Brooke, and I was kind of thinking that she at the time I wasn't kind of thinking, you know, anything other than the fact that maybe she's just one of those real super clingy people that try and attach themselves to people. So, but I did notice, you know, that what you were saying, she just zoned in straight away. But I didn't quite predict exactly what was coming down the line for that. I have to say that I absolutely loved Xavier's character in every episode so far. He's definitely my personal favourite this season. Cody Fern has had me in stitches laughing over different lines, like when they hit Jonas the Ghost, and he's just like, man, look at those scars and marks and stuff. He's been out here a long time, man. We didn't do this shit, you know. It's like, you know, he's trying to make out, you know, that he's got no involvement in anything, and you know, as we see also later on down the track, Xavier continues to make funny little lines like that. I really enjoyed the scene between Chef Birdie and Xavier, where they initially like he's saying like he's got dibs on her, and her response is you wouldn't know what to do with it if you got it, you know. So Chef Birdie was really quite a comical offset for the episode indeed, but.
I was hoping we was going to see more of Chef Birdie because of that comedical moment. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I can't wait to see more of her like throughout this season. But she was even in like episode 2 and 3. I was like, what? Come on now.
Yeah, I think they should have did more with Birdie. She started off as such a strong character with just that one line. I really wanted to see her more, but alas, we were not gifted that.
Even like the character Montana was like, I think Xavier was like Chef Birdie, and even she questioned like, who the hell is that?
Like, who the hell is Chef Birdie? Like, right. And they all helped her take stuff inside in that scene, though, didn't they?
Yeah, they
like,
did.
Exactly. What are you talking? Well, then again, it's Montana. She has a one-track mind. Her only focus is killing Brooks, so I guess it makes sense for her to say that.
Actually, I would have to rewatch that scene, but I know all the boys were there, and all the boys were helping Chef Birdie. I can't quite recall Montana and Brooke.
That's right. The girls were they were with the hitchhiker and Nurse Rita still. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, that would make sense then.
Yeah. So yeah, no wonder why she was. Yeah. So yes, that does make sense. Yes. But yeah, no. I liked. Was it Matthew Morrison? I believe it's his name.
Mr. Schuster.
Yeah.
Mr. Schuster to me.
Yeah. But you know, watching him with probably one of the world's largest penises.
Ridiculous long.
I remember that guy from Glee, and now I have to remember him this way. I
mean, we're talking anaconda in your pants, you know, top. It's just not something that's normally seen, not even in porn.
I mean, it's almost the perfect pairing with like his whole outfit, the shorts, and he's got the '90s porn stash. It's he has a theatrical background, so he almost was perfect to put in that role.
Yeah, no, I very much enjoyed him, and I really liked the sequence between Montana and him, where like she's like, you know, I saw that, you know, thing flopping around like a baby elephant's trunk, you know, when she's describing this bootleg copy of the Jane Fonda workout video, which I don't believe there ever was one. I think he's just bullshitting. And I think she was just flattering his ego, and we end up then getting to see both Montana and Trevor go take a dip in the lake, and a car turns up. Now I'm not sure. We never actually see who was in that car, but the car revs. So we hear that across the water. And then we see the lights go out and flash or whatever on it. So, and then all of a sudden Montana's scared. So is Montana scared because she's afraid Richard's seen her with another man? Was Richard in that car? Or, you know, I don't think it was Mr. Jingles. So interesting to know. What do you guys think? Who was in that car? Like, I mean, there's no.
I think it was like the Night Stalker. I think that's what it was.
I think the only person that like, was him.
Mm-hmm. And when we get episode 4, it kind of makes sense now when you're thinking about it. Why she would be afraid if the Night Stalker would like see her with some other guy. So
see, I don't know if just because Montana plays her role so well. I don't know that she was acting like that because she was genuinely afraid, or if she just needed a reason to get Mr. Schuster out of the water. Like she maybe needed to get.
And is that water even like clean yet? Like
I was about to get to that too. That disgusting, man. Ew. Not only are you naked in that horrible looking water, but your mouth is open. Schuster, what the fuck are you doing, man? Ew. Go do your cunnilingus at least in a clean area. Just ugh. dirty
Like
lake
if you
water all
survive
over
that
the place.
long night,
Right.
it's like
You're gonna, even if you survive, you're gonna die from all the stuff you caught in that water. Oh my
And lastly,
goodness.
before we like get to like the second episode, like, did you guys think that the hiker was like a ghost or something?
No, that was a complete shock and very interesting twist. Because first he's like, I'm not supposed to die here. I was like, wait a minute, what the hell is you talking about? First of all, we saw him hanging dead from the door, but
Mhm.
then we saw him again. I was like, okay, well maybe he wasn't all the way dead. He was just passed out. He got up from wherever Jingles dropped him off, but then he gets caught again, and he tries to say, no, wait, I'm not supposed to die here. And then he comes back again, and even Ramirez is looking at him now like, why aren't you dead? And he seems confused at that question. So I think every time he dies, something happens with his memory, and it takes a second for him to clue in to exactly where he is and what exactly is happening. But I'm wondering what happened with him like the very last time, because Richard looked away after stabbing him, and then it was only maybe 2 seconds, and when he looked back, he had disappeared. Like, we didn't hear him move and go anywhere. It's literally like he just poofed into the ether or something. So did his cycle reset from there, and that's how he ended up being seen in the woods later, or was it something else happening there? He's an
Yeah.
interesting
Remember,
case. I haven't
even like
quite figured him
Peter
out.
mentioned in the chat as well. I was about to say, like, I remember I was watching like Gray Areas recap for like the first episode, and she said like the way how he was dressed and carried himself, like he couldn't be from this
Yeah,
time period or something. I
yeah.
was like, wait a minute, he could be a ghost, you know? And she was spot on when we got like the second episode.
Yeah, also definitely go check out Gray's channel if y'all haven't already. I don't know why you don't know who she is because of our Game of Thrones love, but if you haven't, go check her out. She's doing some pretty cool theories and commentary on this season of American Horror Story.
Everyone's
Okay.
looking for something new to talk about now that Thrones is over.
Yeah.
you
gotta
got to
branch out,
stay
man.
relevant. Yeah.
Mhm. Gives us more reason to, either stay subscribed or like, listen to other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's good. So anyone else want to talk anything else about this episode before we get
This
episode 2?
episode, let's see, is there anything else that I had? Oh,
I did like how they started off
phones.
with like the threesome. It's like immediately after that, we all knew like they were gonna die.
But it's all, first of all, I'm sorry, you fucking deserved it. There are children in those beds asleep, and you're over here trying to have your little dumbass threesome. What's wrong with you? I don't care if there are sheets up blocking you.
Actually, if initially that's what I thought too, but later on, if you really look at it from episode 4, now this is a spoiler side of it. That's actually a counselor's cabin, not the kids' cabin.
Either way, doesn't matter. There are other people all through that room. That's gross.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
You nasties, you deserved it. But the phone lines, well, for Brooke, this is again the stupidity of Brooke. You get these random scares, but then you hear a phone ringing and you're eager to go answer it in the dark amongst the trees.
Yeah.
For what?
If anything, I had someone easily accompany me, but no. she went
No,
by
I mean,
herself.
the only other person that was near her in the cabin was Montana. So,
But the thing is, okay, not only did she answer that phone all by herself in the middle of the night, she did it straight after she'd been attacked.
Yeah, that
Like-
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense at all. Like, that's not
Like
normally you'd be shit fucking scared.
I would be under the bed. Well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be in that situation at all because I'm not going to no damn woods. But thinking in her shoes, seriously, I would be under the bed, or in the very least, right next to the bed that's next to Montana. And holy fuck, if Brooke did decide to stay, Montana would have been in that cabin by herself. I don't like to think about that because that's just where, Montana probably wouldn't have been scared at all. She's got her knife and she thinks, the only other Carol that would have been out there is someone under her control. But it's weird. Brooke's whole thing, her backstory. I can't say that there's really holes in anything she said so far, but it's iffy at best. It's iffy as to what truly happened with the best man, but we'll get to that. And it also, I thought it was interesting when they were having that talk around the campfire. Rita was saying, you know, how did any of us get these jobs? I've never been a camp nurse for, you know, the skills that I have. None of y'all have ever been counselors. You probably aren't even trained in the shit. So how do we all get these jobs? That again is I'm wondering about Margaret's hiring process.
True.
And
But
we'll
even
get
then,
into
like I was hired as a
later,
camp counselor
but
before, and I had like no experience whatsoever at the same time.
okay, but what was your interview process for it?
It was like summer youth. You can just go in and just ask for like a random like job or so, and it's like you got it. It was
Really?
like no qualifications or anything.
Who is protecting the children's? Damn, who? What?
I was a good counselor though,
No,
but I
I'm
had no
not
experience.
looking at the whole process though. Like, damn, if we have a whole line of people that aren't necessarily experienced going to this camp, heaven help those damn kids because they're probably gonna die too.
Like
But
I would
anyway,
understand if you
on
had
to,
like head counselors that had experience, but it doesn't seem that way though.
yeah, it doesn't, not at all. Like the only person there that had actual experience doing what they needed to do was the chef, and we barely saw her, unfortunately.
And the other thing is, if Xavier didn't go, hey guys, why don't you come along to this summer camp? It would have only been fucking Xavier going there, and you so like that's what I didn't. That's one thing that I have to pick on is that they should have at least had at least one other counsellor that was apart from
That
Trevor, the
knew what
activities
they were
director,
doing.
Hmm.
that was already there, and
Yeah.
you know, and you know whether it's a well, I thought that there weren't enough girls in this season. Like seemed to be the more boys in the group, so they could have had another girl there. You know, they could have brought back was her name Ash Santos from last year. That she was the girl that gives birth to the next Antichrist.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
they could have had her come back as a counselor or something, or even Tysa Fagma, or however you say that surname.
Alicia.
Famijo, is it?
Yeah.
There you go. They could have had someone else there, like that was a goody two shoes, to be like a little mini Margaret or something like that. You know.
You would think, yeah, it's very interesting.
Mm.
I do also like, and I like as we're getting to episode 2, that this has been one continuous long night for the
Hmm.
episodes that we're going to cover. Four episodes, and we're still in that same one night. I think that's kind of cool. But I think we're a wrap on all of our questions and concerns on thoughts on episode 1. BBM, take us into the next one.
Okay, so in episode 2, Margaret learns of Mr. Jingle's escape from the psychologist at the mental institution, but insists that the camp will open as planned. Brooke is shaken after the phone call with Mr. Jingles and opens up to Montana about her disastrous wedding 1 year prior. Montana attempts to seduce Brooke, leaving her shook. Xavier is pursued and is pulled into a car by a man named Blake who forced him to act in pornography. However, Xavier offers Trevor as his replacement, which soon later he gets murdered by Mr. Jingles. Brooke is chased by the Night Stalker after seeing the dead body of that psychiatrist earlier, who was killed by Mr. Jingles, and he also like took her ear, which was like one thing we didn't mention in like I believe it was the first episode when Mr. Jingle escapes. He kills two people and he doesn't like take their ear, which even like
Yeah,
draws your suspicion as to like the story, which I believe it was like Rita told about that he as trophies he would like take someone's ear. So that was like interesting. What else? The Night Stalker attempts to like murder the hiker, but the hiker pretty much gets like, resurrected and like pretty much like relives this never-ending cycle, which we were mentioning earlier. The counselors find Blake's body with his severed ear and assumes that Mr. Jingles has found his way to the camp and is hunting everyone down. Margaret, approached by Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, and she hires him to defend and protect the children from Mr. Jingles. The counselors attempt to escape, but must split into two groups to retrieve keys, which always works well in horror movies when you
Yeah,
decide to
let's
split
split
up.
up.
Margaret meets the hiker and deduces that he is the ghost of the counselor from 1970. Both groups, led by Trevor and Rita, are individually surrounded by someone outside their cabins banging on the door. So that was pretty much episode 2 in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So let's go with Andrew first, because AK like tackle like the first
Yep.
episode in first.
Yeah, look, just one last thing on the first episode. When they're all sitting around that campfire and Rita refuses to smoke that funny weed, and the only thing that she puts in her lungs is a Marlboro Red, that's when you know she's the villain. Because if you refuse to smoke weed and you're putting those dirty tobacco cigarettes in your lungs, then we know you're the bad guy, not the good guy. All right, so that's my closure for that. And anyway, episode 2. Yeah, look, I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed getting to see Jingles, break out of the prison and not the prison, the mental ward in the first one. I enjoyed, watching what Jingles did with the psychologist when she turns up, at the camp trying to warn Margaret. And Margaret's basically like, screw you, I've got a gun, we're safe, and we're not shutting the camp down for no one. If you got an issue with them, call the police, but they got no business here basically. So yeah, look, I thought she was going to be an early death in the season, and rightfully so. Now this is the episode where we have the boys go to the shower, and this is where I started to think that they were possibly going to make Chet gay, because he was sitting there checking out, Trevor's package in the shower, and you just see him watching it. He's just like having a little peek, and then Trevor gives him the whole, it takes more than it gives speech, and yeah. So I thought that was a bit funny, and then we get to see Blake, and then Blake's, obviously pressured, Xavier into doing gay porn and being pay for gay. Gay for pay. Sorry, I'm mixing words around in my head there. And then Xavier's looking for a way out, because he really doesn't want to do this. So he basically starts pimping out Trevor without Trevor's approval, just because he's got the gigantic cock. And so yeah, it was a pretty good episode. That's also this is the episode where Richard slashes Jonas open. Is that correct from memory?
I do believe so.
Yeah, that wasn't the first one. Yeah. So Jonas is walking around.
That wasn't a ghost.
Hi, Andy's friend.
No, that's my dad. Sorry, he's just walked in.
Oh, hi, Dad.
Yeah. So yes. So we watch Richard Ramirez kill Jonas twice, and he's just absolutely dumbfounded that he had to even do it a second time, and he happens to pull off the camp counselor badge. That shows that he was from the 1970 staff, and that's when he goes looking for the camp director, and which is obviously Margaret, and the two of them sit down and have a little powwow in the dark, and she manipulates Satan's servant to do her bidding. But is he really doing her bidding? Like, I think he's just kind of just, okay, yeah, fair enough, and he walks out. Because
the whole scene, she was just way comfortable with like another murderer. It's like,
exactly.
What the hell?
Saying all of her behaviors from the very beginning should be setting off red flags to everyone. Like, she is way extra on so many levels. Like, a serial killer comes in and you just sitting here just smiling, nonchalantly talking to them. Oh, you're hurt. Let me patch you up. Bitch, what? Like, even he was looking at her like, is this bitch for real? Like, there's a few times you catch him. It's, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Andy.
No, you're right. You can say what you want.
Yeah, it's Margaret's behavior is just very, very strange to me. We get Brooke's backstory, and again, it doesn't seem to have any holes in it, but her ex was freaking crazy. So and this can't be the first time. Well, no, we know it's not the first time he gave off jealous behavior like that, because she said that he had jealous tendencies before, and she thought it was romantic. Really, bitch? You didn't see it as controlling? Because the rage he showed when they were at the altar, there's no way that's the first time she's seen him like that. So I don't know how they even got to the point of marriage, or what. That's what makes me think, what the hell is wrong with Brooke? There is something extra with Brooke that we are not privy to yet. And I'm on the edge of my seat to know what the hell it is.
I'm on that side where it's like she did cheat on her fiance this actual time. All the times where he was like a jealous type, like this one could have been like the one where he actually was right. That's what I'm getting at. So I'm getting like a whole bunch of like, Dead of Summer and Scary Movie 4 vibes, where I'm not supposed to trust the role that Emma Roberts is playing this season.
Right. Yeah, you know what?
I don't know.
Her characters, honestly, you have a tendency to not want to trust them because there's always some amount of shade that happens. So yeah, there's definitely something going on there. So I'm interested to see what that is. Once
also, why did she like keep the engagement ring? Like, yeah. I wouldn't keep the engagement ring. Like, if it's like her mother's or grandmother's, and maybe it's understandable, but it's like
it could have been hers. Usually how those things work is it belonged to like a family member of the husband, and that's where the ring would have come from. But I don't know. Maybe it was an heirloom, or maybe she just wanted to keep it for reasons. I mean, there were other rings that were very neatly lined up in that box. So who knows? Maybe this isn't even her first time at the altar that we've seen. I don't know. I just think there's something extra with Brooke, and we need to see what the hell is going on. Xavier's story is a bit, it's a bit tear-jerky. You're forced to do a thing to try to get yourself clean, try to get by. So yeah, I get it. I would want to get the hell away from that situation. Also, he's basically being pimped out for, daddy, because daddy wants him to do things, and that guy was just creepy. And I can't blame him for trying to offer up Mr. Schuster so he could be free to go live his Hollywood dreams and be discovered. And lusting after Mr. Schuster and his schlong is eventually what was the guy's name? Blake? It's eventually what got him killed, because that was it Jingles? Yeah, I think it was Jingles that actually ended up coming up and doing it. He saw him, and it's interesting because Xavier just left him there and like smooth ran away. So there's something, I can't say there's something extra with Xavier, but there's other stuff in his background that I think is going to have to come to light to fully flesh out his character, because him always trying to take blame off of himself for anything, that's a learned behavior from someone that has a very sticky background. So I want to see more of what that is. I don't think it's just the gay for pay porn that he had to do. I think there's definitely more going on in there. So I don't know. And Ree says that it was a gloved hand and Jingles doesn't wear gloves. It wasn't. I don't think that was the Night Stalker that did it. So if there is a third hidden killer running around, that would be an interesting.
That's what I thought it was. Chef Birdie. That was another killer. I actually thought it was her because we didn't see her this episode. So I was like, wait a minute, is it like Chef Birdie who was like, an accomplice to Mr. Jingles, and maybe when they worked like together 14 years ago, maybe they were a thing.
No. Well, I mean, we saw later on why that can't be true.
It couldn't.
But
I was hoping episode 4, but then that went out.
Birdie is the only person out of everyone there, except maybe Mr. Schuster, that was a legit cool human. Everybody else there has some real weird random shit that happened as to why they're there, except for Chef Birdie and Mr. Schuster. So yeah, we'll see.
I was gonna say Chet, but like he used steroids.
No, he did that shit. He tried to make it seem like he was innocent, but no, he fully did that shit. And everybody knew. That's why his huge confession, everyone was just looking like, bitch, we know. Why are we even rehashing this? So yeah, there's a lot going on with these kids. And I mean, well, they're not kids, but there's so much going on. But the real like extra backstory that I want to know about is Ramirez. He also, we know, has some extra hinky shit going on, but that's more for episode.
We got his backstory this episode, right?
Well, his backstory with Montana was that this episode?
No, I mean like his other backstory, his origins, where it's like he witnessed, I believe, his uncle like shot his his wife and other stuff that brought him down to Satan and crap.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about the more recent of what's happening, and mainly what happened in episode 4. So I'll shelve him actually until we get to episode 4 talk. But the scene where they gave Margaret and Jonas their little time to have a chat, because Margaret, I think, was curious after she talked with Ramirez, and he asked about that the counselor that he killed twice but is still alive. Margaret, of course, spun the story to make him think the way she wanted him to think, and she's very good at manipulation. This one, it's interesting to see her and Rita work with how they do things. They're very similar in their tactics. But once Margaret actually sees Jonas and they talk, it's not really clear once we see that little bit of their backstory who actually killed Jonas, because Margaret seems surprised that he was hit by a car and someone got out that he thinks was Jingles, but we don't see that. So I don't know. So Ree might actually be right with her theory. There may be an unseen third, maybe ghost killer that's walking around there that we haven't seen yet.
Can I say something there about that?
Yeah,
one thing with the Jonas thing, obviously, he's from 1970. He's got we do see him having a different perspective of how his death is to obviously how Margaret perceives it, and I really do have to give her the line of the episode where he's like, "Am I a ghost?" And she says, "Like, who am I, Dan Aykroyd?" And that was such a relevant thing to say because only a couple of months prior to the summer of '84 was the release of the first Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah, that was a good one. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting to think about them. Like, I think he knows that Margaret is involved more than what is being seen, but he doesn't know exactly how, and she doesn't understand how or why his ghost is still there either. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of that and to see what other ghosts we're going to run into because he can't be the only one. All those people that
and I wonder, and
walking around.
It also makes me wonder too, like that when they tell this story, like whether we know the answer to who the killer is or not. They tell us originally that there was 10 people that were killed, and Margaret says no, there was 9. Now,
right.
We're only ever shown the girl's cabin as the female counselor's cabin as the slaughter grounds, and technically we only ever see one male that gets killed, and that's the guy that was about to get a threesome and use his daddy's lambskins. But
he's specifically the guy that was making fun of her.
Yeah,
in the scene back in the day. So that's very interesting.
It is, but what about the rest of the people that were at that camp? Like, obviously, we now also know that Jonas was one of the people killed. Did Margaret actually kill Jonas, or did someone else kill Jonas at that time?
See, yeah, that's the thing. That's why I think Ree's thought might actually be on point. I think there was someone else there. I don't think that Night Stalker and Jingles are the only two that are killing folks. I think there is an unseen third, and whoever it ends up being is going to be very interesting to add to the mix. So we shall see.
True. I was gonna ask something, but I just slipped my mind. I should have wrote it down. But yeah, are we finished with talk about episode 2?
After this one little bit, Xavier, that little breakdown that he had towards the end, your ass would have been left, dude. You picked the wrong damn time to have a breakdown and try to come clean about everything. You're stressed. I understand. So are we. Let's be stressed and have a breakdown after we get the fuck out of this situation first. But yeah, that's it. He would have been left if it would have been up to if it would have been up to me. You don't have time.
I figured Montana was screaming like we all knew that you took steroids. Even by the way, on the first episode, they were like he peed a pharmacy. It's like, dude,
yeah, exactly.
You're faking it.
If they find it in your damn system, dude, that means you did the shit.
Exactly. I did have something I was gonna mention, but I've just gone blank.
You want to mention it?
What was it? Oh yes, another classic Xavier line is when Daddy's impaled through the eye of the back of his head, basically, and Trevor and Chet and Ray are all there, and when Brooke and Xavier arrive, Xavier goes to go to touch the body, and and that's when Trevor's like, "Don't touch him, man. They'll think you're involved." And Xavier's like, "Why would they think I'm involved? I don't know this guy. I've got nothing to do with it." And he just
he does so much.
I know, he just has all these lines that just keep me absolutely in stitches. I can tell you that. Even watching it 2, 3, 4 times, like I have, I still laugh every single time Xavier has one of those backpedaling lines that they give him. And now you're right, BBM, to move on to the next one.
Also, And back in episode 1, where Rita just mixed up like the death tolls and thing, I'm like, it should have said on the newspaper that I believe that Mr. Jingles had, and like we saw like in the first couple episodes, where it's like they mention a sole survivor. So it was kind of weird how she said like there were like 10 deaths, and there was like one person survived. Unless
But
they're counting Jonas as like that 10th person that died.
I don't think anybody counted Jonas. Well, no. They did know he was dead. They did know he was dead. So I feel like we need to go back and actually do a full body count. Speak of the devil, the Westerosi Ninja is in the chat. What's
Hey,
good?
we plugged you earlier because Andrew got your shirt on.
Repping them ninjas.
Yeah, so
But yeah, it's
onward.
weird to think about that. But yeah, onward, please.
And was it at the end of episode 2? Was it 3? We learned about Rita's situation. No, it was episode 3. Okay, so episode 3, Rita's group is accosted by Ramirez, and they decide to split up to increase their odds of survival. Ramirez eventually breaks in and attacks Ray repeatedly, but Chet saves him, and they flee. The pair eventually fall into a trap filled with wooden spikes, and Chet is impaled through the shoulder. Ray, after confessing to Chet about an incident in college where he was responsible for the death of a fraternity pledge, leaves Chet to die. The pursuers of Mr. Jenkins? No, Trevor's group turn out to be the group of prankers impersonating Mr. Jingles, part of a tradition. But Mr. Jingles kills the pranksters while Trevor, Montana, and Xavier flee. Brooke is left alone with Rita and plans to go and alert the police, but Rita drugs her and reveals herself to be Donna Chambers, a serial killer obsessed psychologist who orchestrated Mr. Jingles' escape. Donna drags Brooke away. Oh my gosh, I really should zoom in here, or I need glasses. But Mr. Jingo later kills the real Rita, whose identity Donna assumed. Trevor and Xavier kill Chet and rescue him. Trevor, incapacitated, who believes is Mr. Jingles, but is just another prankster. Montana and Ray are approached by Ramirez. Ray abandons Montana on Trevor's motorcycle, only to be I can't even read. Decapitated, there we go, by Mr. Jingles while escaping. And Montana Ramirez kiss and wonders why hasn't Ramirez killed Brooke. So that's episode 3 in a nutshell, which did like 2 twists that I was not anticipating. That Rita was impersonating Donna was impersonating the real Miss Rita, and the whole Montana is in league with the Night Stalker like Ramirez. Like that was like 2 things I was just not anticipating this season. There was another twist which I saw coming. I think we all like were saying, even like when we were mentioning in the first 2 episodes. But did you guys anticipate like the whole Montana situation as well as the whole Rita Donna thing? You start with AK.
Not at all. Those were 2 very well done and well executed things that they put in. But let me organize my thoughts. Absolute first thought for this episode: Ray's a little bitch. Like, holy fuck, my dude. I get it. I understand. However, if you're in a situation and everyone is mobile, damn it, we are all just running. I mean, like I said, if you get somebody in the group and they want to sit down and not move and have a freak out like Xavier, okay, well, you chose to sit here and stay, then you're gonna stay. But to actively plot to just leave everyone and outward say, I only have to be faster than 3 of you. Well, okay. Guess what happened? Karma is a bitch, and that shit came up and got you right away. Chet was a damn saint for going back for him, and as we saw, he shouldn't have. He should just left Ray. He really should have, because Ray wasn't about shit. And we see Ray's backstory. Ray again is not about shit. Does no one know how to check a pulse? How do you just automatically assume this guy is dead? Did it not make sense for you to put your hand up to his neck, to put your finger under his nose to see if he was still breathing? Just because he's knocked out doesn't mean he's gone and you have to throw him down a damn cliff. What the fuck, dude? That was the only thing that popped into your head to solve this situation for your frat? It's, oh my goodness. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But once we get to, after Xavier has his breakdown and we see what we think is Mr. Jingles ends up being two pranksters that are dressed as him for whatever reason. People think it's fun to go run around and terrorize people on the anniversary of what happened. That we saw that didn't end up very well for them. They got about 2 seconds worth of chuckles after throwing in the flaming shit bag, and then they both got, they got. And I don't think Jingles was too happy to actually see that they were wearing a mask of his face at all. I think he killed them extra hard.
It was interesting when we saw him empathize for that like one individual, because I guess he kind of like saw something in him, which like makes sense like later on in like the next episode. Yeah.
Once we actually saw who Jingles was at heart, that totally made sense. Absolutely made sense. And I appreciated that because it showed that he had depth. And we see that decision again in the next episode. So I'll put a pin in that for everyone to think about. Let's see. Rita's backstory. Holy fuck. People, when you're driving anywhere, any random desolate road and headed off into the woods or anything, actually, it doesn't even matter. If you are in a parking lot, a parking garage, whatever, always check the fucking back seat. Please do not get caught on a stupid mistake like that. Like this girl, she already, she had her spidey senses were tingling. She thought she was being followed. Donna talked her way out of that. And then, the girl goes to pay inside. She comes back and the car is gone when they're supposed to be caravanning. And it looks like she thinks it's odd, but then she dismisses it. That's a very small car that you're driving there, young lady. You really didn't see a grown ass person in your back seat? How? I don't know. I guess people just don't think like me. I'm always on the espionage, damn it. I make sure to check all of the places.
Anyway, when you get back in your car, like you should like notice if someone's like at the back.
How do you not feel that? It's it's nuts. It's nuts. I don't get it. It was a good twist though. Very, very good twist. But this is what I was saying earlier also. What was the hiring process that Margaret went to get people there? Because Rita and Donna do not look alike. There's a very immediate difference that is seen. So how the hell was Donna able to even put herself there with Rita having been hired? It doesn't make sense. Even if, let's say they didn't do a face-to-face interview, you would have at least had to have talked on the phone at some point. There wasn't email back then. So how the hell did y'all communicate for Rita to even get this job? How did you not know what this woman sounded like, what this woman looked like? It just seems very sketchy the way that
sounds like we can get a job easy in the 80s, like at this point.
Apparently, man, it's weird. That's a question that I have that I need answered. Like, how did that work out?
Well, in Los Angeles in 1984, apparently there was plenty of jobs handing out 20,000 condoms because they did mention that fact. Rita did, or the fake Rita.
Wow, that's crazy. Like, and
also, like, I didn't know corn syrup, like, does like that much damage to people.
Yeah, back in the day, they thought, corn syrup was the next big bad in food. So it was blamed for everything. It's weird. Now, Margaret did say that her employing possibilities were limited because of all the extra jobs that having the Olympics there brought in. But still, what was your hiring process that you didn't know what like the main person you should know looks like at your camp, that an imposter was able to come in that quickly? I don't know. I shudder to think of what the hell else is going to happen with these chicks. And let's see, was it here where we found the real Rita, or was that the next one?
Yeah, it was this episode, and Jingles killed her.
Yeah, like she could have made it out, or at least survived for another few hours, because when Xavier and Mr. Schuster and Montana, they run into the boathouse to hide when they hear Jingles coming, they find her tied up. What up, Santavia? Thanks for coming through, Ma. They find her tied up, and I kind of understand why she freaked out even more. However, if this person is telling you to, shush, be quiet, we're not gonna hurt you, and you're still insisting on freaking out, well, yeah, if I untie you and you choose to run out of hiding and you get got, well, you just get got. However, I think Xavier could have, said a bit more clearly, we're not trying to die. We're here, we're gonna help you now that we found you, but we need you to shut the fuck up, because he's coming, and if he hears you, he's gonna find all of us, and we don't want that to happen. And I think they had ample time to say that much before Jingles got to the boathouse, but they didn't handle that very well.
She was doomed to die.
Yeah, unfortunately, she it seems that she was. So she ran out. We found the real nurse Rita. She had a chance at life, but she chose not to take it, and she ended up getting stabbed by Jingles. So there goes the real nurse Rita. Let's see. Now, this is also where we got Ray's backstory when Chet passed out, or well, we thought he passed out. But he heard everything that Ray said, so that made Ray freak out even more, and he ends up leaving again, because Ray ain't shit and he's a little bitch. He ends up leaving, telling a lie that they got separated, but of course they found Chet later, and they got the real scoop. So, you kind of expected Ray to have the ending that he did. It made sense. He deserved it.
Like, what they have to say is this asylum. How are you gonna allow Donna to go in there and interview him without like any guards or anything? Or like, it was ridiculous, and it was very convenient that now he spoke to her the moment she like turned off like the recording. So it's like within the 14 years, like no one tested that or anything to make him talk.
Why wasn't there any type of surveillance like on with the double glass that all of those places usually have in their interview rooms? What the hell was going on there? It just, I don't understand. It should not have been that easy at all. There should have been a guard in there to begin with. So I don't know.
I absolutely agree. Like, it just wouldn't happen in real life. It's extremely unrealistic, even in the 1980s. I mean, you go back 100 years or 200 years ago, police people wouldn't be caught dead in a room by themselves with a serial killer. There would always be a couple of people there. Yeah. So the fact that it just didn't, that part of it didn't make sense to me, and it went through my head, and I was like, thinking anyone could have just turned off a tape, and so I totally agree with you. Okay.
Yeah, it's weird. So we're gonna have to see where exactly it ends up going there. Let's see. I think we got to the point where was Montana with them? No, I think Montana went somewhere, but Xavier and Mr. Schuster, they end up finding Chet, and they pull him out, and they think that the real Jingles is coming after him. But what ends up happening is they actually kill the third prankster that was there, a kid that Mr. Jingles himself had let go because, he seemed like just a nerdy recluse that, ended up wanting to be cool for a couple hours hanging with the cool kids. And Jingles was like, yeah, okay, you're not one of the ones I should be looking at. So he let him go. But now, unfortunately, because of what he was wearing and being in the wrong place at the wrong time, he got pushed into the spikes and he didn't make it out. Unfortunately, he didn't land as well as Chet did. So bye-bye to the third prankster. Hopefully there's no more of them running around.
That was a bit sad, though. I wasn't expecting him to die. Because
Yeah,
I thought Mr.
he would
Jingles
make
was
it out.
going because he heard like noises. I think he was hearing like Chet screaming, and he was
Yeah.
like running. He was like limping towards that direction. I thought that, wait a minute, they're actually gonna kill him off just like this, or maybe he would fall in, but then somehow escape. But no, they actually end up like killing like that third prankster.
But yeah, they killed the kid. So I was like, oh, he didn't deserve that. But I mean, you were out there doing some fuck shit, man. So that kind of is what happened. You should have just stayed home and played your Atari. Then you'd been alive. Let's see. Last big thing. The Night Stalker ends up finding Ray and Montana because I think Mr. Schuster gave Ray his keys for them to at least get out to the highway and call the police back in. Ray ends up leaving Montana when Night Stalker shows up. And this is where we end up seeing their full connection. And once Ray, drives off, Jingles is there, takes his head. He deserved it. So I don't really give a damn about Ray. I found it much more interesting when the camera panned back to Montana and she starts making out with this dude. And then she's like, yeah, why isn't she dead yet? And you end the episode on that, Ryan Murphy, you bastard. Who the hell told you to give us such a damn good cliffhanger? We didn't need that in our lives. I just wanted the rest of the story. Like, damn it. I don't want to have to wait till next week, man.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty much happened to us like this week's episode, I think, with episode 4.
Yeah.
It's like,
I have
doing
questions. I have questions. I'll wait until we're fully into episode 4, though.
Yeah, now it kind of truly makes sense as to why when the car pulled up, like she was like nervous. She was like, wait a minute, I'm pretty much about to sleep with this guy. And all of a sudden, Eros Ramirez coming in. So it gives kudos to like.
I feel
you still don't think so?
No, I know that they have a thing, but it doesn't feel like such a committed thing on either side of them to be like fully faithful to each other. Because we saw how he was with Margaret. He flat out said, a girl brought me here, but I think I like you better. So neither one of them are really in the mindset of being faithful, so to speak, to whatever random relationship they have. It's just another thing that I question. So, and I'm probably wrong about it, but it's in my head.
It's not like being faithful, but it's like she's dating like a murderer. Like if he sees like you're sleeping with someone else, like he might get jealous and like kill you for that.
Yeah, maybe.
Andrew, you have any input on this? Or any other moment within the episode before we go into episode 4?
Well, look, you both have covered most of what there is to cover in this episode. I did enjoy the twist of at the end finding out that Montana was involved with the Night Stalker. When we found this piece of information out, I was very, very much then beginning to think, well, what could be her backstory? And once I knew, obviously, that I was then able to predict that it was going to be related to the wedding, and she was either going to be the best man's lover or sister or potentially the actual groom's ex-girlfriend, or I don't think sister because she should have known a sister, but there was definitely to me once I knew Montana was in that bad guy category, it was easy to predict her story for me, but I didn't predict she was a bad guy from the beginning. So that's just where I stand on her. Nurse Rita always stood out, from episode 1. She's telling someone that just got cut, go do your own bandages. I'm not working. I'm here to look after the kids. A nurse that does that isn't a real nurse. Nurses.
Good point. I didn't catch on to that. I thought she was just being like crazy or something. Good point.
I've never met a nurse that would be like that. Nurses can often they work harder and do more than freaking doctors do, and they get paid a third of or quarter of the price, and have just as much responsibility, if not more. So, there's no way a nurse is going to say go tend to a wound by yourself. It's just. It stunk like dirty, rotten fish from the first episode for Rita. I was just waiting for her to be exposed on whatever she truly was. As I said, refuses to help someone that's been cut, and she refuses to smoke weed with the crowd. So, so she's definitely a bad guy from the word go.
Anyone that refuses the drugs is automatically the enemy.
Yes.
Not all the time now. Not all the time.
Point you bring up. I like that.
And
also with Montana, I feel like her anger, I understand her frame of thought, but I feel like her anger is displaced, because if Brooke did actually sleep with the brother, aren't you mad at your brother too, though? Like, it seems like she's just completely ignoring that if this actually happened, that he did this wrong thing, but it's Brooke's fault, so I'm gonna go get her killed, or kill her, or whatever. It just seems extra. Again, like I said with Montana, she gives off that extra vibe from the very beginning. I knew it was gonna be something, so when the wedding came up, yeah, totally makes sense for her.
I just thought Montana was a nympho. Like, I just thought she just wanted to fuck everything that walked past her. Whether it's a big ding-a-ling dong Trevor, or whether she wants to engage in cunnilingus with Brooke, or there's a tree in the parking lot I saw her humping at one stage.
That's another thing you got to wonder, though. If your goal was for this chick to die, you were alone in a cabin with her with a knife under your pillow for at least an hour or two. Why didn't you get her yourself then? And
she would be like the number one suspect, because remember, the boys weren't in that cabin. So
that
she would have killed her.
Like, crept in.
Then again, there's like Mr. Jingles around.
Exactly. She could have spun the whole thing. But then also, why try to make out with her?
That was a weird thing. It was like right after she said the wedding story.
Like,
was
what was
weird?
That I don't see, and that's why I think, like, at the moment, again, there aren't too many holes to poke in Brooke's story. But it's highly possible that they did sleep together. Either way, though, again, Montana's anger is displaced. Like, you need to be mad at your brother also. It isn't just Brooke's fault. If they did the deed, they both did the deed. And, well, I mean, dude, ex-boyfriend was crazy. Yeah, I get it. But still, if he did the shit, then he did it. So he had to deal with the consequences. It's weird. It's weird on how How the hell? See, but then he said the ex-boyfriend said that he saw the guy there. Okay, did you see him in through the curtains in her bedroom? You legit know they slept together, or did your jealousy just see his car outside and you thought something was up? So it's the whole thing is sketchy and ridiculous, which makes me think that Brooke might actually just be telling the truth. But I guess we'll find out. We still have like what 4 or 5 episodes to go. We'll see what happens.
You know what's sassy about Brooke? In episode 1, it just dawned on me where she was like, "Oh, the crime rate for like murder stuff is like high during the summer because people leave their windows open." Yeah,
Fuck,
in
do
the
you know
next
that?
scene,
I'm like,
she has literally her window open, and I guess
mm,
that's how like the Night Stalker got in. So that's another thing that's like sketchy with freaking Brooke.
right. Like,
But
first of
onto
all,
your point
why do you have
earlier,
that?
AK, you mentioned like why would like she still be gun hell on like getting revenge on Brooke when it's like it was like her brother's fault. It could be possible that if like she digged into Brooke's background and maybe like realized, okay, like this is a trend that she possibly does with men. So I'm guessing that's why she's probably like want to go kill her. That's like my guess.
See, and the one other indication that does go against Brooke is the way she was looking at Chet during the class. It was a very small moment, but Montana was right. She said, I saw that, you got Chet, like Chet's rankles up or something or other, but she caught Chet's eye. Well, Chet caught her eye also.
I think the words were she was oogling his
Yeah,
bulge.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, but then again, she's of the age. She's a young woman. You're allowed to look. So it could absolutely mean nothing. I don't know. I guess we'll
Absolutely,
see.
but I mean, I'm not saying that someone can't, but we do got to remember we're still back in 1984, where
Yeah.
there are a lot of prejudices still around. I mean, so I mean, even in the 90s, there was a stack around. It's really post 2000 that things have started to improve, but prior to the year 2000, I would say that didn't matter whether it was racial issues, sexual issues, sexual orientation, whatever it is. Back then it was all like swept under the table, and a lot of the shaming side of it. So that's why Brooke, she probably grew up in a strict home and feels she has to, hide that lust side that's natural to human nature, and that's really probably what's happened here. I couldn't I couldn't say that we're going to definitely find out that they did have an affair, but either way, Brooke, I believe, was brought up in some kind of home that whether it be a Christian home or even just a general strict parent that years ago they used to lock boys. You see single mothers raising a son, and they'd call their little boys dirty little boys if they were masturbating or all that type of shit. So we live in a different era now. So that's the point of all that rambling I just went on with.
No, you're right, and it's definitely good to bring it up. But
So guess
BB,
go on episode 4.
yeah, I think we're on to the last one.
Okay, now let's see. This time I'm going to zoom in here. Okay, so throughout flashbacks, it is revealed that Montana and Ramirez became lovers after meeting at Montana's aerobics class. At that time, she enlists Ramirez to murder Brooke as revenge for the death of Montana's brother at Brooke's wedding. In the present, Xavier seeks out Birdie, the Camp Rock excuse me, the camp cook. I don't want to say Camp Rock for the camp cook, who has been gone for like 2 episodes. Like she was literally preparing sandwiches throughout this entire time, which is interesting for assistants. But Richie discovers them. Mr. Jingles discovers them. He locks Xavier in the oven and turns it on. Though a fatal wounded Birdie saves him. Now, severely burned, Xavier mercifully kills Birdie, which was kind of upsetting, though. And it was like the most gruesome like death so far in this season, I think, besides Roy, who got like his head stomped in episode 1.
The most innocent, well, the second most innocent death that happened there.
No, wait,
Poor
third, like the kid with the mask. Like he was like freaking innocent.
The kid with the mask and Birdie. Who else were you thinking?
Roy too, like he was innocent and he got killed.
Roy.
The guy at the was the gas station, was it? Or the yeah.
Yeah. I asked the question why the hell his space was open that late at night. Okay, fine, you're working, but why isn't your stuff locked up while you're under dangerous territory? Random thoughts, but go ahead.
Can I just say, while we're on Roy, why didn't Roy come out and attend to the real nurse Rita when she pulled up at the gas station?
I wondered that too. It is a full service station. He should have.
Yeah.
That's a red flag there.
That is for me. So yeah, I just was like, WTF? Where's Roy?
Yeah.
I noticed, AK, you asking in the comments here, why is there only one cook? And that's a bloody good question, because there's going to be a mess hall full of
kids. If there's more than like 10 kids, you need more than one cooking staff person.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. I mean, the camp counselors already have your numbers up by themselves. And you're 2 days, we haven't seen Birdie. And we see she's making the bologna sandwiches and she was getting ready to start making the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You've been making that many sandwiches over 2 days that we haven't seen you. You're prepping everything for these kids, like first day arrival. All those sandwiches are going to be gone within like the first day and a half. So how are you running the whole kitchen and cooking and all that by yourself? It doesn't make sense.
She would have to be awake 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah, no. Because she'd be constantly
she was doing those sandwiches the whole night.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know.
Yeah. Anywho, Brooke, meanwhile, falls into a trap set by Donna. Ramirez tracks Brooke down after being tripped by Montana, but Jingles appears. Ramirez and Jingles fight, with Brooke escaping during the chaos and Ramirez apparently being killed. Mr. Jingles visits Margaret, who reveals she was the actual killer in 1970, following bullying at the hands of other campers. Mr. Jingles' blame for the killings was subsequently subjected to terrible treatments during this time in the asylum, which does like bring back to like in season 2 of the asylum. They did the same thing. So I forgot the character's name, who she like appears in like several other like seasons of American Horror Story.
The journalist.
Yeah.
Sarah Paulson played Lana Winters.
Lana Winters, yeah.
There we go.
We could also get Dinah Stevens as a younger. She was the voodoo witch, and and I forget her character name in Cult as well. She was a journalist as well. You guys are seriously, you got to catch up on the whole series.
I will.
I was watching Cult, but I couldn't get into it. It upset me too much to watch it, honestly. I didn't want to have attitude the whole time, so I stopped after the first episode.
Well,
Colt's Roanoke, or no, that's the clown thing, right?
Yeah,
the clown and politics thing.
It's only part of the story. The Cult is about fear as a whole. And it doesn't matter what you're scared of. That's what it's about. So clowns is some people's fear. You know, political change, that people have had. It could be freaking grass growing in the wrong direction, but that's what cult is, just centered around the concept of people's phobias and playing on those phobias to grow the cult and yeah. We've got.
I'm telling you, you are the spokesperson for Cole. Like every other
I
person's
am.
like, you don't have to see Colt.
A lot of people bag it, and I mean, we've even got one in the chat room, the Granite person. He or she, is it?
He.
Saying that Colt was garbage. So, and that's a fair point, Granite. I'm not going to disagree. Well, I'm not going to argue with you. We're all entitled to think what we want, but I enjoyed Colt.
You gonna share the chips, AK?
No, my chips.
Wow, she was.
But
Did I finish? Oh wait, just one more. I'm almost
one thing.
done with the recap. Margaret shoots Mr. Jingles and assuming he was dead. Trevor arrives after hearing the gunshots and Margaret kills him. Mr. Jingles was not dead and left. Xavier, after encountering Mr. Jingles, is found by Brooke. They meet up with Chet, Montana, and Margaret, who lies that Mr. Jingles killed Trevor. Elsewhere, Donna witnesses Ramirez being revived by a supernatural force. So, AK, you can start with this, right?
This one, okay.
Or was it Andrew who started before?
I think it was on Andy. I think I did the last one. So you go first, Andy.
Okay, so go, Andy.
Yeah, well, so obviously we open up with the midnight man aerobics, and we get to see Montana teaching the class, and she ends up having an argument with one of the people, meeting Richard Ramirez for the first time, where he wants to join in on the class because he heard Billy Idol's music playing outside, and it drew him in. And then when one of the aerobics guys chucks a sissy fit because he wants some Cyndi Lauper instead of Billy Idol, he runs off, and the Night Stalker goes and kills her for Montana, and they go have a big, lovely sex scene, which we don't get to see, thankfully, in a pool of the blood of the guy that was in the aerobics class. And this is where we find Montana backstory finally, and she's, she's requesting basically, you've killed for me once, would you kill for me again? And he's like, you just tell me who. And she gives the backstory, and we find out that it's Sam is her brother, and he was the best man. He was shot at the wedding. They got fucked. Why wasn't Brooke being, shot as well? If she was involved in it. Yeah, so that was the start of the episode. Then we obviously get in, and we to see some interactions between different like situations, whether it's readers capture and setting up the traps for Brooke and the other campers to fall into, and we find out Rita's not. She's got a bit of a psychopathic side to her as well. Not just it's not just scientific curiosity. I think she's flirting with becoming a serial killer herself, is my way of probably putting it. What else can I say about this episode? It was very surprising to see that they killed off Richard, and brought him back in the same episode, which sets this new big grey area that we've never had before in the series. We have had witches bring other witches back from the dead, but we've never actually seen like Satan basically resurrecting someone that had died, and that's what we got to see at the end of the episode.
And it's interesting, like when he got resurrected, it's like he doesn't seem shocked that it happened. So I'm guessing it must have happened before.
Like, has it happened before? Right. I was wondering that too.
Yeah, so I thought that was very, very interesting, and it brought in questions like, why was this not used when what's her name, Mallory drove over the Antichrist, Michael Langdon, last year? Like, why didn't the devil just resurrect his son, at that point? And
maybe because it could have been because the witch killed him and not like a normal individual.
There are definitely rules sometimes when it comes to the supernatural. It depends on like how you die. Like with American Gods, when they were trying to bring back dead wife, Elstara said that she couldn't do it because she was actually killed by a god. So there may be the same type of rule that's happening here. It's interesting though. I do like that observation. Damon, what was it you said? I should have wrote it down when you said it, Andy. Yeah, I'll come back to it. I'll remember it later on. But the way what that guy, I don't remember what his name was, that was in Montana's class, the man aerobics class, he just seemed a little extra, and I don't know, like you really mad that she's playing Billy Idol instead of Cyndi Lauper? This is really that big of an issue? Dude, you're wearing a leotard. Calm yourself. There's no reason for any of that nonsense. It was my random one bit of extra.
I thought it was a bit of a stereotype having a gay guy chuck a hissy fit.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Tossing that in. But I remember now is what you were saying about Donna, that she might be flirting with becoming a killer herself. She seems very enthusiastic on this. Like she said, she couldn't, get all the information she wanted from a caged bird. She had to see the thing happening and put Jingles in his natural habitat. But what we know of Jingles' backstory is that's not his natural habitat. And this is the pin that I put in his character earlier when he let the nerdy prankster kid go. He ends up on the bridge after he gets shot with Xavier, and Xavier is basically pleading for his life, begging not to be killed. And Jingles, the camera pans up to him and he's like, "That was never me." And he walks off without a thought. He doesn't think to harm Xavier in any way. So I'm wondering how much more of that type of thinking on his part that we're going to see. I think the only person that he's going to try to harm anymore now is Margaret, if he actually survives, with all those bullets in him.
Thought for you guys, in that scene that you're just referring to, Alicia, we've got Cody Fern's character Xavier falling down on the bridge when he tries to take a swing shot of an attack shot at Mr. Jingles with the kitchen knife that he just had to put into Birdie's heart. Now, one thing I want to mention is he heard the jingles, right, coming towards him as he approached on the bridge. However, Mr. Jingles then all of a sudden vanishes and Brooke appears, right? Thin air.
Yeah, it almost seems like he passed out once Jingles decided to leave. And then when he came to, Brooke was there.
Well, you could think of it that way, or you could think of it that even though he did have that conversation with Mr. Jingles, he had it with a dead Mr. Jingles, not a living Mr. Jingles, because Mr. Jingles could have fallen over and died, and that'll explain why he vanished, and all of a sudden Brooke was there.
Like Peter was bringing this up earlier, like
I didn't think
with the
about
whole hiker, and now with the thing, like something could be up with this camp where if you die here, you're still like, your ghost appears. So kind of like a haunted house.
It's like Murder House.
Mm.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, I did not think of that at all. And that is probably what happened.
I could be completely wrong, but that was just that was my first thoughts.
It fits.
Yeah.
It fits very well. Interesting. But see, and I think that's why I want to know exactly what's up with this camp. It seems like it picks and chooses who it wants to save in that manner.
Like with the hiker, like I guess the hiker could be brought back, try to like warn people that maybe it was like Margaret who was doing the killings. Like maybe he did see who was like the real killer. Like that's like my only possible reason. That's like why like the camp like is bringing back the hiker.
Right. And why did it keep Jingles? And who is the other phantom that's out there that hasn't been seen yet, except for the killing of Blake? If it is a third person, I mean, we could all be wrong, but I think Ree was on point with that theory that there is another unseen there. So it'll be interesting to see how that part plays out. I did very much like how we had the double fight going on. Like once Donna, told Brooke her backstory, and she ended up getting her in a trap. First of all, where the fuck was Margaret when Donna was running through the woods setting up all these damn traps? Because there's a whole lot going out there that, like, did you do all this in one night? Where did you find the muscle to get that damn log of freaking nails up that you had? And how much time did it take you to dig out that damn hole? We're checking mistakes. And how did no one notice it? Like what?
Wasn't Rita there before everyone else though? So maybe prior.
But she's only arrived from what we can see on the day, or maybe even a day earlier.
Yeah.
But what I would have to say she arrived on the day, because we see Nurse Rita wearing the same fake Rita wearing the same outfit when she kidnaps the real Rita, and to what she's wearing when everyone turns up at the camp. So to me, it's just all in one day. So it's absolutely, you cannot dig that big hole and
lug all of that equipment out there in one day. Like, when did you do all of this, woman?
Can't be done.
That's a mystery. Yeah, that's a mystery that I need solved. We have only a small little piece of Donna's story. I need to see the rest of that setup for her.
Well, we're going to get that in the next episode, because
I hope so.
From the trailer for the next episode, it looks like Rita's going to be one of the fake Rita or Donna, whatever you want to say, is going to be a main focus of the next episode. And as I said before, and I think that's because she's flirting with the becoming a serial killer, and we will see her join the ranks of that, I believe. Don't hold me to it, please. If I'm wrong, I'll gracefully say I was wrong. So, but that's my theory.
Yeah, I mean, she could end up being in league with Ramirez now, because she did seem like there was fear on her face when she saw what happened with his resurrection, but there was also a good amount of fascination there as well. And if it's quote unquote for science, like she says, she's going to want to know exactly what the heck is going on with that guy. So that might be her in to actually doing something for the first time for herself. I liked the double fight that happened though with Ramirez and Jingles, and then back a couple yards away was Montana and Donna, and I thought for a second Montana was actually gonna like fully take her out, but I mean she won the fight, but she didn't end up actually putting her down for good. So it was interesting, and then just to see Ramirez go out like that and then be brought back, like, dude, what have you already done that we don't know about that you're brought back like in that fashion? It's weird. And like BBM said, he wasn't, or maybe it was Andy, I don't remember, he wasn't surprised that happened at all. So it seems like it might have happened before, and he smiles like he now I got another shot to go do whatever he wants to do. It's weird, and I want to see what the conversation is going to be with him and Donna once he starts talking and whatnot. So I don't know.
I did like the fight, but like once Ramirez died, I was like, wait a minute, is he supposed to die at this moment? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, and that's why I knew in some way, shape, or form he was going to come back. But it's interesting, he's not. I don't know if maybe the camp didn't choose him to snatch, or if the camp couldn't choose him because obviously he's got another power looking over him.
Because he's a Satan worshiper and stuff, so I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting. I want to see how much of the lore they're going to expose us to with the backstory they've given him.
But I'm happy that this episode confirmed that Margaret was like the true murderer. Because even back in episode 1, her story just didn't add up. Even then, how like when he was like cutting her ear, supposedly, it's like you could not flinch or anything. It's like, okay, that's very convenient. And then finally we get within this episode. And then it's like Mr. Jingles even himself thought that maybe he did do all the murders, but no, he knew for a fact that he didn't do it. But it was because like the electroshock therapy. And with all the years of people keep on telling him that, no, you're the one who murdered all those kids, he started to believe in it. And it gives credence to what Rumpelstiltskin, I know AK would know, always keep on saying, like, evil isn't born, it's made.
It's made.
And that's how, like, he pretty much became, like, that monster, which he even says that, like, in the second episode when he killed the psychiatrist. He's like, all those years he's saying, like, I'm a monster, and I am, like, the monster.
And now
he's saying I am.
What they say I am, yeah. Absolutely.
Very agreement to that. What else happened? I wanted to.
And then, I mean, there's also a Rumpelstiltskin reference to be made for Ramirez too. Magic comes at a price, bruh. Eventually, that bill's gonna be due. Eventually, it's gonna catch up.
And I'm curious, like, how many more episodes we're gonna get at night now that Mr. Jingles is wounded,
wounded or dead.
And now we got. That's another thing that Andrew did bring up. Like,
that's
he could
a really
be dead.
really good pinpoint there, Andrew. I did not think about that at all. That's a good find.
A moment of silence for freaking Trevor, though.
Yeah.
Like, I was hoping he was gonna survive.
I'm putting up a beer can. I'm taking a sip from Mr. Shoe right now.
Yeah, it was sad for him. Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
It's just crazy.
His death and Birdie's death and the little nerdy prankster kid. They were 3 legit deaths that really did not need.
And Mr. Jingles didn't even seem like he was even going to kill Birdie. He was like, friends with her. He was like, oh.
He didn't even after he found Xavier, he didn't go after her until she attacked him first.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't think he intended.
I don't think he was going to at all ever hurt her. He was always nice to him.
We saw him show empathy to the guy that obviously had issues like medical, like asthma and all that, slowing him down and all that. And he could empathize with this guy because he's been this guy.
He's been
the outcast. And Chef Birdie would have been someone who empathized with a younger Benjamin when he was the groundskeeper or something like that.
He was in charge of picking up all the trash and whatnot, keeping it sanitary.
Yeah. So she would have been the type of person that would have been just, nice to everyone, and like she was with Xavier, just playful, with the right people, of course, it was to me, it was a sad death seeing Xavier has done the make you want to cry moment in just about every episode when you see his little tear come down in his little bits, but him having to put Birdie out of her misery,
that hurt him. That hurt him.
That broke him as a person, I think.
It did.
And I mean, looking at himself in the reflection of the oven, he's now a monster. From how the fuck did they turn the oven on? I mean,
what you were saying about the power.
The power's been switched off, right? And AK said to me, well, it could be gas run. Now, those types of ovens aren't gas run.
Yeah,
they're right. Electrics. It's a convention oven where you can change between roasting and steaming and boiling, and it does all these different things. So I've worked as a young apprentice chef and decided I didn't want to do that type of work in my life ever again. But I know these ovens, so I could tell you now it was definitely an electric one.
Is it possible it was on a different grid than everything else, maybe?
Well, we see Margaret turn everything off, and if she had separate grids, you would think that like she would include her own little house to have power while everyone else went off. But it is possible, because otherwise your refrigeration would go off overnight.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I didn't think about the fridge just then too. Yeah, you would still have to have that on, even if she didn't have a whole lot of anything like in the freezer. The sandwiches, you're not going to just leave them sitting out on the counter all night. You're going to put them in the fridge.
That's right.
At the very least. So it's possible, but you were right to bring that up, though. It is still sketchy that like all the power's off, but this oven is still working.
The fact that she turned all the power off was sketchy.
And why turn all the power off at the time that she did? I could get maybe turning it off like after the boys were done showering, but you literally just sent them to the showers. Why would you leave them in the dark like that? There's a whole lot of sketchy stuff that Margaret's done that people are like, I guess they just ignored. And random thing, like it means absolutely nothing. It's just something that I noticed. What the hell was Xavier planning on doing when he got to the showers? Everybody else had their soap, had their towels. He's just walking around still looking like GQ Smooth, talking about where are the little soaps at? Bruh, you're at camp, not a hotel. What did you think was gonna be there? You saw everybody else with their supplies, and you didn't think you needed anything?
Well, that's true. And why didn't, because all those guys would have had to gone back to the male counselor's cabin
to get their stuff,
to get their shit. So I can't imagine, that Xavier's just walking around by himself outside while everyone else is just getting.
But that's what I'm saying. So where were you? Were you planning on leaving then? Or was there some other random thing that you were planning on doing, because you weren't going there to take a shower?
No.
So what the hell was happening there?
Well, he could have just been going for a wank, but it's.
Yeah, that's a dangerous wank. But yeah, I mean, you're right. He could have been. You're right.
Yeah.
It's just a weird thing that caught my eye that didn't.
I totally agree with you, because it just gave an excuse for the Blake side of the storyline. That's all.
Right.
That's all it did.
They could have still had Blake come up there at that same time and just had him snatched out the shower.
Exactly.
It wouldn't have been too far-fetched, but the way they did it just gives me questions. Especially with
the only questionable thing in this episode was a flashback where Margaret sucked the blood off of freaking Mr. Dingo's finger.
That was like right then and there. If you had any doubt about what Margaret was in the beginning, that little action right there Should have said it. Thanks for coming in, TGP. Have a good night.
Take care, man.
Thank you. That we got to remember too. Like Leslie Grossman is like what she would be about. She's very good, but she'd be like early 40s or something, wouldn't she?
I don't know, actually. Let's
ask Google for me. Anyway, we're looking at her sucking the blood and saying these lines to an older male.
She's 47.
47.
She does not look 47.
Yeah. So she's 47 playing someone that's roughly 20, maybe 18. So if we actually had an actress that was the correct age, like playing a younger version of her, the scene would have even been more impactful because you would have seen this 18-year-old girl seducing this
older man,
and trying to manipulate it. Like, to us, it's not as bad as what we're seeing because we're seeing Leslie Grossman still, and we're connecting with her at an older level as opposed to actually seeing what the character truly is.
Nah, she still gave me the EBGBs. Especially like when he gave her the bear, like one of the first things she said is, "Oh, they mate for life. Are you my bear, Benji?" Like her manipulation is just so smooth. Like, and you really saw it in full effect when she was talking with Ramirez. It's, like, damn, you are messed up in the head, girl.
And thank you, Granite Person, for turning up tonight. And
yeah, absolutely. TGP is cool people. That's my boy right there. Thanks to everyone that was hanging with us in the chat. I think a few people have gone off to bed or to watch other things. We appreciate you guys coming in. And thank you to anyone that may be watching this in the future. We appreciate you checking us out.
We do.
That's it, gents. We have successfully gone through 4 episodes, and we did it in just under 2 hours. Normally, it takes us a lot longer to get through one episode.
Yeah, I was wondering because we originally were supposed to schedule for like 3 episodes, but then we added an extra one. I was wondering how long is it gonna go.
But yeah, this worked out because it's only about 10 to 11. So we handled everything pretty much within about an hour and 40 or 45 minutes. So do you guys have predictions for Ep 5? What's gonna happen?
I just want Xavier to kill, Donna, the fake Rita, because like she gotta go because of all this. Everything pretty much transpired tonight. Like, come on.
Yeah,
now. Trevor could have been alive. Damn it.
She's the linchpin. She's the linchpin to all of this happening. So I think they showed us that little part. Excuse me, that little part in the trailer where. Sorry. I think my mute was on.
Mm-hmm.
But Xavier was saying, like, in the preview, this is your fault. You're the reason why I'm never going to be on the cover of a TV magazine or something or other like that. And he goes after her with a knife. So I'm interested to see where that fight is going to go.
You got any predictions?
Was Jamie on Friday the 13th, y'all? Excuse me.
I wouldn't know. Terrible.
I thought she was in Halloween. I didn't think she was in Friday the 13th.
She was in Halloween, yes.
Yeah. Mona, she was in those movies. Thanks for coming in, Santavia. Have a good night. See you next time.
Thank you.
But yeah, I'm with you. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that fight there. And also, when are we gonna get the breakdown between Montana and Brooke? Like when Brooke actually finally learns why, she's being targeted and who Montana really is. I hope they don't drag that out for too much longer.
I'm pretty sure that we're going to see most of the stuff unfold in the next episode. Which is titled Red Dawn. So that to me means that the night is coming to an end.
Yeah, we're going to get to the next day finally.
And we're going to get to the next day finally. and when we look at the synopsis for the following episode after that, it tells us that we've got the survivors coming back to the camp, basically. So it'll be interesting to see who survives and who doesn't. I mean, the trailer for next week's episode already has exposed that Brooke and Montana are in a room, and then Montana attacks Brooke. So we definitely know that's going to happen because of the trailer. So, and we definitely know that we're going to get the full backstory of Donna because of the trailer as well. So yes, but yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm interested to see if my theory about Jingles dying actually did happen. Also, predictions coming up for the series is the possibility of time travel coming into play, as well as
for that.
Not necessarily time travel, but time looping as well, where basically when you die at Camp Redwood, your ghost gets bound to the camp, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your ghost is bound to now. It could mean like your ghost could appear in 1970 when the event first happened. It also could mean that the events, you jump from 1984 to 1999 if that's the end of the loop. I'd be interested to see where they go, because I think it's pretty much foreshadowed the time traveling when you see a car similar to the DeLorean, and then the fast forward symbol appear on the screen only a second later. That's in the opening credits. So
there's not to mention that, yeah.
That not only do we see the DeLorean and the fast forward part, but that's the intro for Billy Lord.
That's right.
And we know Mallory, she has the Tempest and Phantom ability where she can travel through time and affect things the way that she needs them to go. So we've heard stories about this, theories really about this also being connected to Apocalypse and to Coven. So are those future lives going to come into play? And if so, how and when are we going to see that? Because it reminds me a lot of Charmed. If you the original Charmed.
Yes. We don't talk about the reboot.
All of their past lives were they weren't always together, but they always usually ran in the same circle. So for some reason they were always all connected all through time. And sometimes they were evil, sometimes they were good. So Mallory, we know she's very powerful, very good supreme witch. Now, maybe if her characters are connected with that persona, then this is just one of her evil past lives that we're seeing go through here for 84. It'll be interesting how they do it. I don't know if that's what the connection is going to be, but that's a theory that a lot of folks have had. And I like how in the beginning, when we see the DeLorean and the hints of time travel, Billy Lord's name is over that whole sequence. And I just think it's cool.
Another thing to mention with the opening sequence too is that Leslie Grossman's name comes next to that, and prior to her name appearing, we hear keys jingling, and then we get the knife drop after it.
Yeah,
which
that also is a giveaway to what she really is. It's real interesting the way that they put this together. There are clues everywhere for stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just have to go back to I think the first season where they started putting clues in the credits, I think was Coven, where when they put Sarah Paulson's name up, they they put a symbol of it's like, you know, how we get saints and so forth in Catholicism. They put the symbol of what represents the seven wonders and the person that holds it. They put that symbol next to Sarah Paulson's name. So just in the credits alone, they told us, you know, who the Supreme was going to. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So,
it's very clever the way they do these things, and
very clever.
I'm very much enjoying 1984 a lot more than I thought I would. I was very skeptical about this season and them going back with the slasher theory, but yeah, I'm enjoying it very much so far. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
Me too.
So thank you for
Same.
hosting us here, fandom. I think next time we'll probably be on my channel. Hopefully we can set it to where we're only talking about 2 episodes versus 4, but if that's the way we need to split it, we'll split it.
It's probably not.
Because we're all in different time zones, so we got to work around our schedules and whatnots.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you again for everyone in the chat for hanging with us. My boys, thank you for always sitting and chatting these cool things with me. And again, thank you for hosting, BBM. It's always fun to be
And
here.
where could we find you, AK? Since it seems like you're doing your outro now.
Yes, I will hopefully be doing some things for Halloween. I think all I'm going to end up doing is maybe getting some folks together to do some live reactions to some random things on Crypt TV. If you haven't watched Crypt TV and you like horror stuff, they have a bunch of cool short films and skits that they put out regularly. They have like this whole monster anthology that's original content just to them. Go check their channel out. They're a pretty good group of folks. And I'm also going to see if I can get there's some very morbid, funny games out there. So I'm going to see if I can get some of those and maybe do a couple of gaming streams. Maybe. We'll see how it works out with the time, because we're only about 2 weeks away from actual Halloween. So we'll see how it goes. Besides that, I'm probably just going to be talking more American Horror Story with these guys here. That's pretty much it. I don't have too much planned, you know, and y'all catch me in the chat rooms all the time as always. So again, thanks for having me, and this has been fun, and I've been AK.
Always a pleasure having you on, AK. The Lord Commander, aka the one with the fedora, aka the one who says, fuck them damn kids. You even mentioned it early in the stream with the children of the freaking forest. Not forest, excuse me, children of the corn.
And also,
And
what the hell are we going to do with these kids that are going to be here in the morning?
True, they're going to pretty much see like bodies and stuff everywhere. And
you
stuff.
legit don't have the staff, nor do you have the cleaning ability to get rid of all the bodies and blood. You can't have the babies here.
I think they're going to hire more camp counselors. Because not thinking about it, in the trailer, don't you see that one actor who's like in other seasons, like who used to date Emma Roberts? Like he was in the trailer, and he kind of. I thought that he was like a camp counselor as well, but he's not even like part of like the crew. So
we'll see.
It's interesting. But yeah, Andrew, where we can find you and what you're doing with your channel.
Yes, well, as the name in the bottom corner of my window box says, I'm the Fat Dingo, and I'm from Australia, if you can't work that out by my accent and the fact that I'm using a unique animal to Australia as my name. So you can see me on my own channel, The Fat Dingo, on YouTube. I haven't made a vid in about 2 months, so do forgive me. I've been working on other people's channels. You can catch me either on Fandom's channel or on AK's channel, talking American Horror Story at the moment, and looking forward to getting down and pulling apart the next couple of episodes. Apart from that, you'll see me occasionally on the Westerosi Ninja channel as well, doing Tuesday night trivia and other things when required. So yeah, but always enjoy our little horror talks, and we were definitely missing our dear friend Lav, who normally joins us on this type of thing. So
Indeed.
You're here in spirit, and we do love you.
Absolutely. Hopefully
Yes.
we'll get her
Yes.
back on for at least maybe for the finale at the very least. We miss you, Lav.
You truly do. But once again, thank you guys for coming on from AK to Andrew. And even though you cut me during your titles, AK, the one who still hated what the 100 did to damn Alexa, she deserves
Right, Alexa
better.
deserves
She
better.
deserves better. Yes. But also people in the live chat that were here from Moni G was here, the Granite Person, Peter Griffin, who else? Atonia Major was here. Shannon was here. Who else? I remember Johnny Be Crazy was here for a second.
Yep,
Yeah.
and
Burning Blood was here earlier. Hebe. And
Spots.
do apologize. Oh yeah, I see Spots was here as well. I do apologize if I happen to forget your name. And then those who are like watching, and we're in the live chat, those watching the future. Thank you for stopping by and watching, us talk about episode 1 to 4 of this season of American Horror Story. We'll be continuing on AK's channel. So in the description box, I do have both AK and Andrew's channel link there. So if you want to check them out. I'm not sure when specifically we're going to do the next stream. I don't know if it's going to be episode 8 or maybe 6. I don't know. Because then AK said like 2 episodes. I don't know.
We'll see how our schedules go.
I don't know. Yeah.
Definitely.
If anything, if something happens, we might end up like, having a stream when the finale happens. Who knows? Who knows?
Mm-hmm. All right.
But till then,
notifications.
like or dislike the video. Comment what you guys thought of the first 4 episodes. Hey, if you're new, please subscribe to all of us here. I am Phantom D Saint with AK and the Fat Dingo, and we are signing off.